I'm waiting for that to go off. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Scotty Wade, Dr. Curb. Hope we are doing fantastic tonight. It has been a pleasure commentating with you guys all season long for some fantastic Rocket League action. But tonight, we kick off in NACE playoffs with Cleveland State University versus Lubbock Christian University. Now, Cleveland State comes in at the 25th seed for playoffs this time around, taking down the likes of Stony Brook, Old Dominion, North Texas, Western Kentucky, and Wichita State. And it's been fantastic for them. Meanwhile, Cleveland State coming in, or LCU coming in at the 12th seed. They've been very dominant this season, not dropping a single series, only taking game losses to the Illinois State Firebirds, who won Midwest Battleground not too long ago, and the Maverick Esports from Minnesota, who got top cut at Midwest Battleground as well. So it's going to be a very exciting match tonight. Whoever wins will be facing the University of Akron's blue team in Rocket League, which is their main team. So it will be a test to see if they can continue on into the NACE land. If they do end up winning this match, they will be playing Akron. If they end up beating Akron, then they will move to Orlando for top 8 of NACE. So we got a lot of stakes on the line, and it's going to be very exciting for sure. I mean, the NACE Rocket League environment is definitely a lot different. We have Lubbock taking down Ball State, West Virginia almost losing in pools. There's just so much insane Rocket League action happening. And what better way to have two teams, LCU not exactly being the most proven team in NACE specifically. I'm not sure if they have a ranking, which I'm going to check real quick to see if they do have something of that nature. CSU not ranked, did drop to okay, I found it. Okay, so in the spring poll, the last spring poll that was made, Lubbock Christian University came in at the 26th spot. That definitely can change, especially since it's been about a month and a half since that poll came out. But we'll go out and say out of the ball estimate around top 30 school in Rocket League right now. So it's been quite a season for both of them, and I'm interested to see how both of them do tonight. We're just waiting on an invite from one of our fantastic Rocket League players as we get one. We are in and ready to go. We are waiting to see when we get into the game. So I don't know why I pulled that up. We are just very excited to have this match on tonight. Cleveland State's taken down the likes of St. Clair's main team and Concord in NECC. But the history of this series for Cleveland State is, can they win big games? We have won regular season games that could have given us more in playoffs, and NECC did not go our way. NACE, we have been very close to taking some very great series against George Mason, and I think that was our only loss actually in the regular season. So I think we're okay in that regard. But we just have historically not been able to win big games in playoff time. We qualified for Division I in NECC, and that went very well. But it didn't end up mattering because we didn't make playoffs by losing to schools that were, on paper, not as good as us. So we'll see how the tables turn as we get into NACE playoffs, fighting a squad that on paper is better than us, but that does not stop the squad from taking down fantastic giants in the Rocket League esports scene. I'm looking at both rosters right now. I can actually fill this out since we have access to it, so that'll be sick. So give me just a second. We can showcase some graphics that typically are not seen in Rocket League, or at least Rocket League streams, rather. So that'll be fun. Let me get that set up momentarily. chat. I hope we are all doing well tonight. We're getting just about started here, so I might not have time to showcase rosters, and that's okay, because what matters more is Rocket League tonight in the game, and we're just waiting to see if we can get all in here. Cleveland State University versus LCU, game 1 of playoffs for NACE. And we're starting off with some heat as Process, one of the dominant players on LCU squad, trying to immediately get a score in for Lubbock Christian, but not exactly going to get the touch there. As Colin going to pass it up over to Beastie. Beastie doing such a dominant score for LCU this past semester, and looking to just continue it here as, you know, LCU been super dominant against some of their entire NACE roster, taking down Illinois State, which we did not when we played them in NACE. So definitely a tall task, but not a tall task to get the first score, as Colin gonna nail that score in after taking a nice assist from Jacob, pressing it off the top and taking the score in. Up 1 score for Cleveland State, as we are getting off to a great start. Last week we were very slow. This week we are on pace and really looking for that NACE top 8, especially since who wouldn't want to go to Orlando? Fully covered by your college. So, yeah, great stuff to start off this series, but you have to keep in mind that this LCU squad is used to these types of talent. They're used to having to worry about great schools, top 30, top 20, top 10, whatever they're playing this, they're always on lock. But they haven't played these Vikings, and these Vikings are hungry to take more off of these dominant squads in Rocket League. LCU being no slouch in esports themselves, having one of the best Smash programs in the country, being in NACE Super Conference, taking down so many giants. They've done the same in Rocket League, so will they do some more of that today and maybe into Akron next week? Or will Cleveland State be the ones to keep holding on, as we, in this first couple minutes, have not seen much of a fight from LCU. We've seen a lot of pressure on goal from Process and Beastie, but it hasn't exactly mattered since Cleveland State's been so dominant on defense this series, pushing so heavy, but they're going to get a good save. Okay. I believe that is Ty with the tags change, so Ty going to get a great save, and that's probably going to be a score from Colin if he can get it, but no, Process going to get there just in the nick of time, but can Jacob get there? And yes, he can. Demo doesn't matter because we saved that ball from going in. LCU continuing to put so much pressure on, but Cleveland State having the fire lit under them, taking an early score, are going to get that set up and ready on defense, as no one back in net for Cleveland State, but it's okay, as Jacob is going to pass it over to the corner and bump it over with a nice little pinch to try and set up with a nice score, but Nisrium is there to defend and deliver, as Cleveland State just looking to reposition and try and defend any attack on goal from LCU. And Ty once again going to do so with a nice little save, as Colin looks to just space it out over to the center. Doesn't really matter if we get the score or not here, as that ball perfectly fielded away from our side of the field. It's Cleveland State poised right now after a lot of shakiness coming out from this roster in recent weeks. However, this LCU squad waking up a little bit more, putting a lot more pressure on this Cleveland State goal. We saw in their last time at this position of the field, they were able to put so much pressure on Cleveland State. But Ty was always there with these saves, so they have to figure out how to break it, as Cleveland State barely not going to get another score, and as Nisrium going to block it. Jacob going to try and do it again, but it's not going to go well, as LCU with the momentum, trying to push the ball into our net. Not exactly going to go their way, though. About 90 seconds remain in this game number 1. Historically, with these games of recent for the Vikings, they've been so drawn out. But now, Cleveland State going to be the ones to really ride this momentum to start game number 1. With about 90 seconds remain, they've just let this one score ride. You have to wonder, though, in these situations, we saw this early on in NECC especially, where Cleveland State would have these early leads and make the most of them for 90% of the game. And then that 10% hit, where we were down to this final minute, as we are now, and while the pressure is still there, the moment our opponent scores, that is where we crack and that's where we fall apart. So can we stay afloat here, or is LCU gonna have to answer off the back foot down 1-0 as we continue to try and put all this pressure? Like, LCU's doing so great on defense, but I've said this about our Vikings time and time again. When you are down a score, you could be playing like prime Ronaldo and prime Messi on the field. But if you can't score, it doesn't end up mattering. Like, this defense has been phenomenal from LCU. They are going to get their score finally there. Process going to deliver with 24 seconds remaining. And now the ball is in. It's obviously in LCU's court, but it's also in Cleveland State's. With 24 seconds remaining, we've been in this situation before where we have a lead for 90% of the game, and then that 10% hits where we're at right now, where we start falling apart. Can we deliver this time around and make this pressure not burst onto the seams and be to the benefit of LCU? As we hit to this 10-second marker, are we going to go to OT is the question. OT has not been our friend this season. BC going to try and does not even send us to OT. They're not going to get the score, barely a touch. Nisriya, the team just did a great job trying to get that in, but not exactly going to get the right touch. As kickoff going a little bit sideways for both parties, and Cleveland State taking full advantage of that. But no one on our side of the net. That's going to possibly be a disaster for Cleveland State University, as Lubbock Christian taking the kickoff mishap and moving it into their favor. LCU going to go up 1-0 in the series, and mind you, NACE is best of 5. We cannot afford these mistakes in such a closely knit series. Cleveland State falling apart there when it mattered most again, and going down 1-0 to LCU. It's not out of the question. I mean, we're playing very well, but we can't be having mistakes like this. Otherwise, Cleveland State is going to have a lot more challenging of a time really getting stuff going. Let's see if we can deliver as we go back into the spectator booth with Lubbock up 1-0. Cleveland State, Lubbock Christian, game number 2. Lubbock up 1-0. Cleveland State going to try and answer back after having a lead for most of that game, but just falling apart when it mattered the most again. Just having slight miscues with defense on that questionable kickoff from both teams, but LCU was just ready first to deliver as pressure once again. Very similar start to this game number 1. Ball in position, and we're going to get the same start. Ty this time going to be the one to get the score off of the assist from Jacob off of the corner. Can we either hold this lead for 4 minutes and 38 seconds, or are we going to have a little bit more back and forth from LCU? LCU did a great job towards that later half of the game, really setting up momentum with these defensive plays and eventually getting that broken down defense from the Vikings and scoring off of it. I think the kickoff that last game was definitely an outlier. We have had those moments before, but not in that manner. So I'm optimistic to think the Vikings won't have something happen like that again, as Cleveland State going to try and get another score, and Beastie just there in the nick of time to prevent Jacob from getting his first of the match. It's just been so polarizing for these Vikings, though. Despite getting these scores, despite riding the momentum for most of these games, feels like most of the squads in Rocket League that we faced this season have had that clutch factor, have had that last-minute mayhem go in their favor. And while we have had our moments by taking down LCU, St. Clair and Concord, pardon me, it just hasn't exactly gone our way for most of the season against these more highly ranked schools. So in order for us to really keep afloat, it's not even just the coordinated plays that we're doing really well, it's just making sure we don't fall underneath pressure. Pressure creates diamonds, but it also bursts pipes. And right now, we have to call on a plumber every other week to make sure these pipes aren't bursting. As LCU still suffering from this high-octane pressure. What a nice tap! What a nice bump coming out from Colin to help Jacob get that score in. Jacob going to like dance that around and then get the bump in from Colin to get us up 2-0 in game number 2. Solid stuff there for sure. And Cleveland State playing a lot more awake in this game too. Not being very miffed at that kickoff mishap in game 1. That game was very much in the favor of the Vikings, but just fell apart. But right now, Looking like the complete opposite of game number 1 in terms of the final result. Cleveland State would be so dominant if they just keep this up, and it looks like they are, as Cleveland State just looking to defend a potential score from LCU. Colin there oh my gosh, okay. Colin gonna be there in time, and Jacob just gonna hit the ball out of the net just barely to prevent LCU from getting their first of this second game. BC has a nice opportunity, and it looks like they're gonna get it. No, just a little bit off with the positioning from our Vikings there, as BC gonna get a nice score after an assist from Process. LCU starting to come back in this game number 2 with about 2 minutes remaining. The Vikings up 2-1, but we can't get comfortable. Every time we get a lead, we got to make sure we keep it. And right now, it's not too bad right now. That defensive mishap happens. We are human, but Cleveland State can't let these pressurable situations go in the favor of LCU, especially this late. As Beastie there again, not going to get the score though. Colin inside of the net to prevent that from going in. Jacob going to push it back to Colin. Colin's going to get the score off of the assist from Jacob. Fighting back, 3-1 lead for Cleveland State. Nice assist again. The Colin-Jacob connection has been on fire in this game number 2. Ty has been solid, getting that first score himself, but playing a more of a supporter role this game, trying to just play these defensive shots as we see there. And okay, you don't see that every day. You don't see that every day either. Okay. What a local. Sorry, I got some news. Unfortunately, LCU scored. That's not too great. But, yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. Just got some news from our Smash team that a lot of upsets went down at Buster Out, but Victor holding on strong. Back to Rocket League, though, is what matters more. LCU, again, just putting on that pressure with defense and changing it into an offensive bout, making that score go in their favor. Again, still up 1-0 overall for the Vikings. We have that score differential in our favor, but it's not going to end up mattering if we, again, get in this position where we have, like, we could be up 9-8 right now with this amount of time left, and this 1 minute always matters for the Vikings. We can't seem to deliver when we have one score leads in this final minute. Historically, it has not gone in our favor. We've been so solid on defense. Can Colin get the save here? Yes, he will. He will get the save there. Will Jacob prevent that ball from going in our net? Yes, he will. Passing it over to Beastie. Beastie setting it up for Nursulum. Nursulum is there. Got to be careful here, though, for the Vikings. Process going to get bumped over to not get that score in. 34 seconds remain. Colin going to try and send that back over. No one there for LCU, though. It's going to be a very solid clear for the Vikings, but Nisrium is there. Beastie is there as well. Going to get the nice corner shot. Again, 24 seconds remain. Cleveland State just getting hit in another coordinated play on defense. We are tied up once more, but like it has been all season long, can we dominate when it matters? Cleveland State having a bit of a scare there, but Jacob gonna get that save as Colin on the back foot trying to make something happen. Process putting on so much pressure just to send it to overtime, make these Vikings not even have to worry about getting a score. 2 seconds remain. This tap is scary. Process is there. All of our Vikings are there. Beastie is there. Barely not going to go in, though. Just barely touches the ground. That was going in our net 100%. Cleveland State has to be careful. This time, no kickoff mishap. Overtime for the second match. Cleveland State down 1-0. Lubbock, both these squads are playing well, but Lubbock has just delivered on all the clutch factor in this series right now. But Colin and Jacob been so dominant with these connections so far. The question is, can we stay afloat? If we drop this game, we're down 2-0, and it's just one more game away, and we have a very short 3-0 for LCU. But if we want to make this a series, we have to get this score in right here, right now. Can't be in out of position, especially against this LCU squad that's just dangerous tap there, but I hope Colin's there. Colin is there. Colin, you got to hit that ball out of the way. Gone just reposition on defense instead. Ty and Jacob are there, though. It is okay. Process about to respond. Getting demoed. Ball going over. It's okay. Jacob's going to prevent that. Just so scary for these Vikings. A lot of our players don't even have boost either. Gonna get it now. Ty going to try and take it himself, and he's going to win the challenge here as CSU going to bump it over to their goal. Good save from Nisrium, but it doesn't really matter. Pressure coming back to LCU here. Jacob going to be there to get the save. Very scary again, but we've been a lot locked on defense this second time around in overtime. Jacob going to go down. Ty going to try and clear it so LCU doesn't get much doing. They have the flip. They're going to flip it to BC. BC going to not get the proper touch he needs. Cleveland State's been doing a lot of, in these 50-50 situations, Cleveland State has put so much challenge on Lubbock that they have not gotten what they've wanted in this overtime. We've seen so much pressure from both squads. No goal going in the favor of either party. Cleveland State very much out of position right now, but not going to get an ideal touch from LCU there to really get anything going off of it. Nisrium going to pass it over to no one. LCU going to opt for boost and go back for defense, which makes sense. Especially in these high-pressure situations where whoever has the ball really delivers with it, you have to be careful. That's scary, but Cleveland State is there to get a favorable touch. Colin going to pass it over to Jacob, but LCU is there to try and get a touch that they need. No one back in net's up to Ty and Colin to really get the save, and Colin going to get it this time. But Ty in the back, going to pass it over to Colin. Good bump from Process, but it doesn't going to matter. Ty's going to try and take it himself. Not going to deliver, though. LCU very solid on defense right now. 2 minutes and 30 seconds in this overtime. Misposition from Colin, going to get him demoed. Ty going to try and take it himself, but BC is there with the save. Another demo from LCU. We're just getting taken out left and right. BC again with another save. BC's been so good as the goalkeeper in these last couple 30 seconds. LCU just keeps switching out positions so well with who's on defense, who's on offense, whatever, what's hap. It's just been so solid for LCU, and LCU the one having momentum this time around. They have position to get a score. No one having that positioning to grab it, though, as Process going to try and make it work himself. Process going to get the challenge successfully. Ty there to deliver on defense, though. 3 minutes in overtime, one of the longest games, individual matches I've seen from Cleveland State. We've been so good at keeping up the pressure, but LCU is there, and they're going to go up 2-0 with a nice coordinated play, bumping away Ty from defense. 4 minutes for the Vikings, and hold on, I don't know what LCU's mascot is, but it doesn't matter. LCU up 2-0 now after doing so well game one, having a lot more challenge in game number 2, and they are 1 game away from taking the series from the Vikings. All right. Back in the game, Cleveland State down 2-0. And right now, we have had the lead in every single one of these games, but the deciding factor has always been LCU's experience, LCU's clutch factor when they're down, and bringing it back. Cleveland State has not had to worry about being down in the series quite yet, but it doesn't even end up mattering. Good demo from LCU. BC going to get that demo to set up the score for Process. And as I say what I say, Cleveland State going to be the one facing a deficit for the first time this series in individual games. I mean, we've faced a deficit all series with the overall score, but LCU has not faced a challenge, has not given a challenge early on in that aspect, but now they're the ones up 1-0 as Cleveland State fighting for their playoff lives right now. Down 1-0 this time around. LCU can play the pressure game. They can do what they did game 1, just preventing these shots from going in, playing rotational position with goalie, and just making sure Cleveland State doesn't score. They've been great at that, and they've had to make some fantastic plays to be, while down, to set up these wins from behind. Both these last games have been in overtime and have been given so much grace for Lubbock, but for Cleveland State to hold on in this series, they have to fight back in that regard. Lubbock doesn't really mind that they're down. It is Rocket League. Anything is possible, and they've made it possible the last 2 games. The question for these Vikings is, can we deliver in the clutch? That final minute has always been so tedious for us, and we have not exactly made the best of it so far this time. No one there for Cleveland State. Down 2-0. Just so much challenge coming in from LCU in the back there. It's just not looking too great. Jacob going to try and get something going, but when LCU gets a lead like this, we've seen the volleys back and forth from CSU and LCU in overtime. Good demo from Jacob to set up, with Colin to set it up for Jacob. Beautiful, beautiful answer back. Cleveland State taking the words out of my mouth and putting him into the game, as Cleveland State starting to fight back here. A lot of fight left in with 3 minutes left, but we have to keep that momentum going as Cleveland State desperately needs 1 or 2 more scores to make this comeback. Not going to get the touch that LCU needs there to get us up, to get them up 3-1. It's just felt so hard for both squads to get scores in these last couple minutes. Like, when it gets to this point, it's only one in, like, the last 20 seconds or so. Cleveland State historically has not had that positive answer, whereas LCU finds their way to deliver when it matters most, and feels like at the current moment that just is not going in the favor until now. Cleveland State equalizing, down 2-0. Colin gonna get the score, and just so ready to go here as Cleveland State finding their way, finding so much more of an avenue to really get things going. LCU trying to answer back immediately with a nice little touch from Beastie, but it isn't not going to go score there, as Cleveland State, despite being down 2-0 in this game, have really fought their way back this time around, really driving the momentum into the hearts of LCU. Not going to get the score there in the final 2 minutes. This could be the final 2 minutes of the series if Cleveland State doesn't continue what they're doing right now. They've been so they've delivered, to say the least. They have delivered. Great touch, great coordination from CSU there, trying to just bump every LCU player out of the way. A potential setup here, not going to get it, as Process going to get another save. Just feels like we have been more dominant in the last couple minutes, but again, that dreaded final minute is coming, and we don't have the score lead. So the question is, can we continue what we're doing right now, or will LCU shake off this comeback from Cleveland State? No one back there in goal, by the way. This is looking dangerous, and it is going to sound the start of LCU having their lead. 1 minute remains for Cleveland State to find their way into the series and still hold on. It's been a nice season for the Vikings, but in order to continue, we need to deliver when it matters the most, and that would be in this final minute. Jacob gonna get the save there. Colin gonna win the challenge too, is send it up for Jacob, but no, Beastie there to prevent that from ever going to the Vikings. 52 seconds remain as Cleveland State desperately tries to hold on and take a game by trying to set up a score, but no, LCU wants to get that spot in NACE top 8. They want to fight Akron. They want to take down the Zips, as CSU not making it easy. 2 overtime losses for the Vikings. It's rough. They can deliver. We've seen them deliver on so many occasions. Can today be one of those days, or will the Vikings fall short once more? 15 seconds remain in their NACE season if they can't get this score in. Nisrin passing it back to Process. Ball up in the air. Demo for Colin. There is no one from the Vikings there. Ty back there with the boost. 5 seconds remain. 3 now. 2 and 1. Can we deliver? Can someone get there? No. Cleveland State falls 3-0 to Lubbock Christian University. A strong bout. A strong bout. But we could not clutch it out, as Cleveland State is going to exit NACE playoffs. LCU taking it 3-0 and moving on to face Akron Blue for a spot in top 8. Not a bad showing from the Vikings overall, but just could not clutch up when that final minute hit. And unfortunately, our time in playoffs is out. I believe that's just going to be our final Rocket League match of the season, in terms of stuff being streamed on CSU. No, we have a couple more. Okay, tomorrow we have Ashland University at 8 o'clock. And on the 27th, we have Mount Union. So we have a couple more matches. And Gleck will be streamed on the Gleck channel when that playoff time comes around. But unfortunately, CSU just not going to deliver this time around in playoffs, as we unfortunately are out. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you guys want to watch some more Rocket League action, you can go wait till tomorrow. And I might be here. I actually will be playing in Smash. Excuse me. So I don't think I will be. But Rocket League will be streamed on CSU Vikes 1 or 2. And yeah, thank you for letting me cast all season for NACE. And now our Vikings look back to Gleck to see if we can make a Texas bid in Waco. I want to say it's Waco. It is Waco. Yes. So we have to beat Indiana Tech in finals of Rocket League in order to make CECC. That is our final chance at any sort of postseason, any sort of continuation of our postseason, as we are going to sign out. I've been Scotty Wade, Dr. Curb. Thank you so much for watching tonight. And remember, go